Hello everybody, this is Diane, and this is my first tutorial where I'm actually speaking. I did the one tulip one in pieces because I don't know how to edit, and this I'm going to do in pieces also because I still don't know how to edit videos. So I will do my best. First of all, I'm excited that there was so much interest in wanting to do this painting. I really love the boat painting, and it really isn't as difficult as it looks. It's just, you got to have some patience working through the different layers and letting it dry. And there's just some few techniques that I'm going to share with you all that I've learned over the past few months. I'm not a professional. I don't claim to be. I just wanted to share what I do know. So first of all, I took, this is like a half sheet of a 12 by 9 Arches 140-pound paper. I usually prefer the 300-pound, but I know not everyone has access to that or has that. I just like it because it's very thick. It takes a lot of water and it just rarely buckles because it's just so thick. But I wanted to use the 140-pound. Just because that's usually what most everyone has, just to do it on that. So I've already transferred the painting on here, the outline of the boat. I put some washi tape around the edges, and the reason I like the washi tape for paintings is that it's very, very thin, and it gets into the grooves and the texture of the paper so that hopefully, fingers crossed, when you lift it up, you've got some clean edges. And I just noticed over here, I didn't quite go the whole way, so I need to patch that up. Can't believe I did that. Oh well. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so I've got the outline on here, and I've put a piece of tape across the horizon to make sure that the horizon, the sky, and the water don't just bleed all together. And it also makes a very, very clean line. I hope it's measured correctly. I'd hate to have a crooked horizon line, but it is what it is. So I've got some colors mixed here. I've got cerulean, ultramarine blue, indigo, lemon yellow, and magenta. And these are going to be the colors for the sky. I may throw in something later. I'm not really a good planner whenever I'm doing paintings. I'm kind of spastic. I just will start doing something like, ooh, I want to put this color in here. What will this do? And sometimes I'm like, well, that probably wasn't a good idea. But I'll try to be more thoughtful and plan it out for this painting. And I probably don't have enough colors of any of these. I'm really bad about not mixing up enough color and have to add more color as I go. And that's just me. Got my water here. And I've got a dishcloth here. It's like a cheesecloth type of material that whenever I'm smoothing edges, I will always dap the brush on here to take some of the water out. Sometimes I do that with paint if I'm wanting to make sure that I don't have too much paint. So I am always dabbing that. And I always have a paper towel kind of wadded up in my left hand to fix mistakes, to dab things, to sometimes tap my brush on it. I can't paint unless I have a paper towel in my left hand. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to put something behind here, and just the washi tape thing, to elevate this just a tad so that as I'm doing the paint on here, it's all going to be rolling downhill, so that we can hopefully get some pretty cool sky effects here. So I don't think I can actually talk while I paint. So, and I certainly can't sing while I paint. You definitely don't want that. So I'm just going to get started here. We're going to put a wash of water here I actually am going to paint over the birds because when I do the birds at the end, it's going to be done in a dark color, so it's not really going to matter. But I am going to avoid the edges of the boat here. And I should be using a bigger brush to help with that. So I've got, let's see, this is like a 1-inch flat brush. So I'm just going to wet the whole sky. I kind of have to turn it on the edge and kind of get the light to shine, reflect against the water to see that I've got all of it coated with water. And I think I do. And typically what I do is once I have a complete wash of water on it, I'll let it sit for a couple of seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds or something like that, just to make sure that the water kind of gets soaked into the paper some. I see I kind of went over the edge of the boat, the outline of the boat, but I can fix that with this because it's in my left hand all the time. Okay, so we're going to start the sky. We're going to start with some yellow and kind of let it bleed down some. And at the top, we're going to start with some different blues and let it kind of bleed towards the center. And then we're going to dash some pink here and there. I don't know if I'm going to do this all in one fell swoop. It probably will be a second video to finish the sky. I don't want it all to bleed together too much. But like I said, I don't plan things out well. And we'll just see how this goes. So I'm using let's see, I'm using a number 4. I don't know if you can see that. A number 4 Rhapsody round sable, Kolinsky sable one. It probably could be a bigger one, but I'm just going to start using this. And whenever I smooth the edges, Simply Simmons makes the most awesome brushes for that. They take a beating. They're really, really good for that. I don't really do a lot of watercolor with them, but I do use them for the dry brush technique and smoothing the edges. If you kind of use those techniques on your expensive brushes, it does kind of start fraying the hairs of the brush, and it's not too good for it. So I use the cheap ones for that, and Simply Simmons are just perfect. I mean, I've used this for several months, and it hasn't shown anywhere at all. And this, it's about $3. I think it was like $2.95 or something like that. They're usually between $2 and $4. So when they start wearing, you just throw them away and don't feel so bad about it. Okay, so let's get started with some, I think that the color here is lemon yellow. We're going to have several layers on this thing, so don't worry if your first layer doesn't look too bright. It doesn't look like what you see the end picture. It takes a while for it to actually look like that. It takes several layers. So I'm adding some more just at the horizon here. And you'll see it's working its way down. Now immediately, I'm taking the big brush here, the Simply Simmons, and I want to smooth those edges. I don't want hard edges at all. I want it to be all smooth. So I'm getting it wet, dabbing it on the cloth there, and just smoothing these edges. It'll still, the yellow will still kind of come down, but it won't be in like a line. You don't want a line, or maybe you do. If you do, then that's fine. Make sure this is still pretty wet here at the bottom. Give it a little bit more. Oops. Now I'm going to start adding some cerulean blue here. You don't want to get it too close to the yellow because you don't want it to turn into green. And then I added some ultramarine blue. And then over here at the top, just to give it some, I don't know what the word it is I'm looking for, some depth, some interest in the sky, some of the dark. Again, I've got my Simmons brush, and I want to make sure these edges are really smooth. So I'm probably going to turn it this way and let that blue paint come down and just spread it around. Smooth these edges here. I'm going to put it flat for a minute so I can keep it from going all the way to the yellow. And right here in the center, I'm going to put just a tad of this magenta, just a little here and there, just to kind of mix a little with the blue and have kind of an interesting sky with some purplish. And then take my blender brush, or whatever you want to call it. I kind of call it a smoothing brush. And then smooth that out. Now we're getting really close to where the yellow is, and that's okay, because we're eventually going to meet, but not quite yet. And if it meets a little bit, that's okay. That's okay. Now, sometimes I will use the paper towel to kind of dab the sky to make like clouds or something like that. Actually, this is looking pretty good. I like how it's kind of light in here with a little bit of pink. There's a little pink over here, a little strip through there. I kind of like how this is turning out. It's buckling a little bit right here. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but it's kind of got a little hump right here because of the water, and that's okay. The secret to the buckling is not to take it off the whatever you've got it taped onto until it's completely dry, because it usually will kind of relax and kind of get flat again. So this is the sky. Can you see it? I don't know. You can see it too well. So this is layer 1. So I'm going to go ahead and end this part of the video, and the next one will be the second layer of the sky. So thanks so much. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to getting to step 2. Thanks.